Welcome to the English Podcast.
For listening and speaking.
Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine you're holding a plane ticket in your hand. If you could fly anywhere in the world tomorrow, absolutely anywhere, where would you go? But before we dive into all the amazing destinations, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever had that moment? Maybe you were scrolling through social media or watching a travel documentary, and you suddenly felt this deep longing to be somewhere else, that pull in your heart that says, I need to see that place with my own eyes?
That's such a beautiful way to describe it, Emily. That wanderlust feeling. By the way, wanderlust is one of my favorite English words. It comes from German, but we use it all the time in English. It means that strong desire to travel and explore the world.
Wanderlust. I love that word. And you know what? I think travel dreams are so important because they give us hope. When life gets stressful, when work becomes overwhelming, you can close your eyes and picture yourself on that beach in Thailand, or hiking through the mountains of Peru, or wandering through the markets of Morocco.
And here's something interesting about English. We have so many different ways to talk about that dreaming feeling. You can say, I dream of visiting Japan, or I fantasize about backpacking through Europe, or I long to see the northern lights. Each phrase has a slightly different emotional intensity. Welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. I'm Brian.
And I'm Emily. And wow, Brian, that question just gives me chills. I literally get emotional thinking about all the places I want to explore. You know, Brian, I was thinking about this before we started recording today. Travel isn't just about the places we visit. It's about the person we become through those experiences. When you're navigating a foreign city, ordering food in a different language, or trying to figure out the subway system, you discover parts of yourself you never knew existed.
That's so true, Emily. And from a language learning perspective, there's nothing quite like being in a situation where you have to use English to communicate. I remember when I was traveling in Japan, my Japanese was terrible, but I had to use English to ask for directions, order meals, even to ask where the bathroom was. Real-world practice is irreplaceable. Emily's already getting emotional, and we haven't even talked about destinations yet. Today we're diving deep into planning a dream trip, and more importantly, we're going to master the English you need for future travel.
This episode is going to be so practical. We'll cover everything from choosing your destination to booking flights, and Brian's going to help us understand when to use going to versus will for talking about future plans. And here's what makes this episode special. We're not just going to teach you travel vocabulary. We're going to help you feel confident using that vocabulary in real situations. Because there's a difference between knowing the word reservation and actually being able to call a hotel and make one in English.
Right, and here's a perfect example. Emily just said this episode is going to be practical. She used going to because we've already planned and prepared this episode. It's not a spontaneous decision.
Exactly. But if I suddenly decide right now to share my dream destination later in the episode, I'd say, I think I will share it. Because I'm deciding in this moment.
Perfect example. And speaking of sharing, if this episode helps you with your English or gets you excited about travel, please hit that like button, share it with someone who loves to travel, and leave us a comment.
Yes, we absolutely love reading your comments. They make our day. And here's your first question to think about while you listen. Where are you going to travel one day?
Notice Emily said going to travel, not will travel. Because she's asking about your future plans, your dreams that you've probably thought about before.
I love how you always catch these grammar moments, Brian. Okay, everyone, think about that question. Where are you going to travel? Keep it in your mind because we're going to explore this together.
You know, Emily raises an excellent point about confidence. And that brings me to something important we should discuss: travel anxiety. Many people have amazing dreams about traveling, but then they get nervous about the practical aspects. The language barriers, the cultural differences, even just navigating airports.
Oh my goodness, yes. I get so many messages from listeners who say, Emily, I want to travel, but what if I can't communicate? What if I get lost? What if I can't read the menu? And I always tell them, those fears are completely normal. Even experienced travelers feel nervous sometimes.
Here's the thing. Preparation is key. You don't need to be fluent in the local language, but learning some basic phrases in English can help you communicate almost anywhere. Excuse me, do you speak English? Can you help me, please? Where is... These simple phrases are your travel survival kit.
And you know what? Some of my best travel memories come from those moments when things didn't go according to plan. Like when I got completely lost in Bangkok and ended up discovering the most incredible street food market. If I had been too scared to explore, I would have missed that amazing experience.
That's the spirit. And Emily, this brings us to an important grammar point. When you tell that story, you say I got lost. Past tense because it happened. But when you're planning, you might say, I will probably get lost at some point, using will for predictions about the future. So let's start with the most exciting part, choosing your destination. Emily, I know you have strong feelings about this.
Oh my gosh, Brian, I get so passionate about this. For my dream trip, I'm going to visit Bali. I've been researching it for months. The culture, the temples, the rice terraces, everything about it just calls to my soul. Before we dive into our specific dream destinations, let's talk about different types of travel experiences. Some people are beach lovers. They want those pristine white sands, crystal clear water, and tropical cocktails. Others are culture seekers. They're drawn to museums, historical sites, and local traditions.
And then you have adventure travelers. They want to climb mountains, go skydiving, or bungee jumping. Food travelers are obsessed with trying authentic local cuisine. Nature lovers want to see wildlife, national parks, and natural wonders. What type of traveler are you?
Oh, that's such a great question. I think I'm a combination of culture seeker and spiritual traveler. That's why Bali appeals to me so much. I'm going to visit ancient temples. I'm going to learn about Hindu-Buddhist traditions, and I'm going to participate in meditation retreats. It's not just sightseeing, it's soul-searching. Can I share something personal with you? I've been collecting photos of Bali for 2 years. I have this whole Pinterest board filled with images of rice terraces at sunrise, traditional dancers, colorful temple ceremonies, and those incredible floating breakfasts in villa pools. Every time I look at these photos, I feel this deep sense of longing.
You see how Emily used going to visit? That's because she's already been planning and researching. It's not a random decision. My dream destination? Antarctica. You know, Emily, your Pinterest board sounds incredible. But let me tell you why I chose Antarctica. And it's not just to be different. There's something profound about visiting a place where humans have barely left a footprint. It's the purest wilderness experience left on Earth. No hotels, no restaurants, no souvenir shops, just raw, untouched nature. I'm going to witness icebergs the size of buildings. I'm going to see emperor penguins in their natural habitat. I'm going to experience complete silence, something that's almost impossible to find anywhere else in the world. And yes, I'm going to freeze, but I'm also going to feel more alive than ever.
Antarctica. Brian, that's so you. Why Antarctica of all places?
Well, think about it. No crowds, no tourist traps, and if someone asks me, how was your trip? I can just say cool, literally.
Brian, that's such a dad joke. But honestly, that's what I love about choosing destinations. Your choice shows your personality. I want to explore culture and spirituality in Bali, and you want to explore ice?
Hey, ice is underrated. And penguins. But let's talk vocabulary. Emily mentioned some key travel words. Destination. That's where you're going. Explore. To discover and experience new places. Culture. The way people live, their traditions and customs.
And scenery. Don't forget scenery. That's the natural beauty you see. Mountains, beaches, forests. The visual feast that takes your breath away. Brian, even Antarctica has incredible scenery with those massive icebergs. You know what I love about this conversation? We're using such rich vocabulary to describe our dream destinations. Brian, you used words like untouched, raw, and profound. I used longing and soul-searching. This is exactly how native speakers talk about travel, with emotion and descriptive language.
Exactly. And this is important for English learners. Don't just say, I want to go to Paris. Say, I'm drawn to Paris because of its romantic atmosphere and rich history. Or, Paris appeals to me because I want to experience authentic French culture. Use adjectives that show your personal connection. True. Now, here's an important grammar point. Listen to these two sentences. I will probably choose Italy for my next trip versus I'm going to Italy because I already booked my flight.
Oh, I love this difference. The first one with will, you're still thinking about it, considering options. The second one with going to, it's decided, planned, maybe even paid for.
Exactly. Will is for possibilities, spontaneous decisions, or predictions. Going to is for plans you've already made or decisions you've already taken.
Let me give you an example from real life. Last month, my friend Sarah said, I think I will visit Japan someday. But then she started researching, looking at flights, and now she says, I'm going to visit Japan next spring.
Perfect example. The idea became a plan. Sarah moved from will to going to as her trip became more real and concrete.
And that brings us to our listener question. Which destination will you choose for your dream trip? Notice I used will because you're thinking about it right now, making a choice in this moment.
But once you decide and start planning, you'll switch to I'm going to visit, wherever you choose. Language changes as your plans become reality.
This is making me think about something really important that we haven't discussed yet: timing. Choosing when to travel can be just as important as choosing where to travel. Brian, your Antarctica trip has very specific timing requirements, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Antarctica is only accessible during their summer months. That's November through March, and even then, the weather is unpredictable. I'm going to book my trip for January because that's when you get the best wildlife viewing. That's when penguin chicks are born and seals are most active.
And Bali has completely different timing considerations. I'm going to avoid the rainy season, which is December through March. I'm planning to go during the dry season, April through September. But I also need to consider cultural timing. There are Hindu ceremonies and festivals that I want to experience, like Galungan and Kuningan.
This is perfect for vocabulary building. Peak season means when most tourists visit, usually more expensive but better weather. Off-season is when fewer people travel, cheaper prices but maybe challenging weather. Shoulder season is that sweet spot in between, decent weather and reasonable prices.
And don't forget about personal timing. Maybe you can only take vacation in July because of work. Or maybe you want to travel for a special occasion like your birthday or anniversary. I'm actually planning my Bali trip to coincide with my 30th birthday. I want to start my new decade with something magical and meaningful. Now, choosing a destination is just the beginning. The next step is something that makes many people nervous: budgeting and planning. Brian, I know you have thoughts about this.
Oh, budgeting, Emily. I have a feeling you and I approach this very differently. Let me guess. You're going to create a detailed spreadsheet with every possible expense?
Guilty as charged. I'm going to research everything. Flight prices, hotel costs, food budgets, activity expenses. I'm going to save exactly $500 for flights alone. I need to know I can afford this trip. Let me give you the full picture of my budgeting process, because I know many listeners are curious about this. I'm going to break down my Bali trip into categories: transportation, accommodation, food, activities, shopping, and emergency funds. For transportation alone, I'm budgeting $800 for international flights, plus local transportation in Bali. For accommodation, I'm planning to stay in different places during my 2-week trip. 3 nights in a luxury resort for the experience, 5 nights in a traditional village homestay for cultural immersion, and 6 nights in a mid-range hotel in Ubud for yoga and wellness activities. Each type of accommodation will give me different experiences and language practice opportunities.
Emily, I'm exhausted just listening to your planning process. But you know what? Your approach teaches us great budgeting vocabulary. Break down means to divide into smaller parts. Categories are different types of expenses. Allocate means to set aside money for specific purposes.
But here's the thing. Detailed planning helps me feel more confident about using English during my trip. When I research restaurants beforehand, I learn food vocabulary. When I read about temples and cultural sites, I learn historical and religious terms. The preparation is actually English practice.
That's actually brilliant, Emily. Now let me share 3 different budgeting personalities we see in travelers. There's the luxury traveler. They're going to stay in 5-star hotels and eat at fine dining restaurants. Then there's the budget backpacker. They're going to stay in hostels and eat street food to save money.
And then there's the strategic spender. That's me. I'm going to splurge on experiences that matter to me, like that sunrise yoga session, but I'll save money on things that don't. I might stay in a simple guest house but book an expensive cooking class because learning to make traditional Indonesian food is important to my cultural experience.
Great examples. Let's look at money expressions we use in travel contexts. Splurge means to spend money on something special or expensive. Save money or save up means to spend less or put money aside. It's worth it means the experience justifies the cost. Bargain means a good deal or low price. And I will just spend less money on souvenirs if I run out of cash. See the difference? Emily's using going to because she's already decided on her planning approach. I'm using will because I make decisions spontaneously.
Brian, that's so stressful. How can you travel without a proper budget? What if you run out of money halfway through your trip?
Then I will eat penguin food in Antarctica. Problem solved. But seriously, both approaches work. Let's look at some key vocabulary here.
Yes, budget. That's the amount of money you plan to spend. Research, to study and gather information before you travel. Save up, to put money aside over time for your trip.
Affordable, something you can pay for without financial stress. And reserve, to book or hold something in advance, like a hotel room or restaurant table.
Let me share a real example. My sister told me last week, I'm going to save up $3,000 for my Europe trip. She's already started putting money in her savings account.
But if someone asks me right now, Brian, how much will you spend on your Antarctica trip? I might say, I think I will spend around $5,000. It's not a firm plan yet.
That's such a perfect example of the difference. Brian's using will for an estimate, a rough idea. I use going to when I've made specific financial decisions.
Right. And here's the thing about Emily's detailed planning versus my spontaneous approach. Both are valid in English and in life.
But Brian, don't you think some research is important? Like, what if you get to Antarctica and there are no restaurants?
Emily, it's Antarctica. I'm pretty sure I will pack my own food. But you raise a good point about research. The key is finding balance.
Here's our question for you. Do you plan your budget carefully like me, or do you decide spontaneously like Brian? Think about your personality and how you approach money for travel.
Whatever your approach, you'll need our next topic, booking and creating your itinerary. This is where plans become reality.
Oh, this is my favorite part. The moment when you actually book your flight and it becomes real. I get butterflies in my stomach just thinking about it.
Emily gets butterflies, and I get a confirmation email. Let's talk about key vocabulary first. Book means to make a reservation and usually pay for something.
Itinerary. That's your travel plan, your schedule of activities and places to visit. Hotel and flight are obvious, but reserve can be used for restaurants, tours, or special experiences.
And schedule, to plan something for a specific time. Now here's where our grammar really shines. Listen. I'm going to book a hotel tonight versus I think I will take a night train instead.
Perfect. The first one, going to book, that means you've decided, maybe you've already found the hotel online. The second one, will take, you're considering a different option in the moment.
Exactly. Let's practice this with a role play. Emily, you be a travel agent, and I'll be a customer who changes his mind constantly.
Oh, this will be fun. Hello, sir. Welcome to Dream Travel Agency. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm going to book a trip to Antarctica. I've been planning this for months.
Wonderful. Antarctica is such a unique destination. When are you going to travel?
Well, I'm going to go in December, but actually, maybe I will go in January instead. The weather might be better.
I see you're considering your options. Are you going to book accommodation on the research ship?
Yes, I'm going to book... Wait, actually, I think I will just bring a tent. That sounds more adventurous.
Sir, I don't think camping is allowed in Antarctica. You'll freeze.
Okay. I'm going to book the ship accommodation. This is why I need a travel agent.
That was perfect practice. Did you hear how Brian used going to for his firm decisions and will when he was thinking out loud and changing his mind? That role play was so much fun. But let's do another one that's more realistic for most travelers. Brian, let's pretend I'm calling a hotel in Bali to make a reservation. This will give our listeners practical phrases they can actually use.
Excellent idea. Okay, everyone, listen carefully to this phone conversation. Emily is going to call a hotel, and I'll be the hotel receptionist. Pay attention to the specific phrases we use. You can use these exact expressions when you travel.
Ring ring. Hello, Ubud Serenity Hotel. This is Emily calling from the United States. I'm interested in making a reservation for next September. Do you have any rooms available?
Good morning. Yes, we do have availability in September. May I ask what dates you're looking for and how many guests will be staying with us?
I'm looking to check in on September 15th and check out on September 20th. That's 5 nights. It'll be just me, one single guest. I'd prefer a room with a view of the rice terraces if possible. Could you tell me what types of rooms you have available?
Perfect. For those dates, I have 2 options with rice terrace views. Our deluxe garden room is $120 per night and includes breakfast and Wi-Fi. Our premium suite is $180 per night and includes breakfast, Wi-Fi, and a private balcony with a better view. Both rooms have air conditioning and private bathrooms.
The deluxe garden room sounds perfect for my budget. A couple of questions. Is there a swimming pool at the hotel? And do you offer any yoga classes or wellness activities? Also, what's your cancellation policy in case my travel plans change?
Yes, we have a beautiful infinity pool overlooking the valley. We offer morning yoga sessions at 7 a.m. for $15 per person, and we can arrange private yoga lessons for $40. For cancellation, you can cancel up to 7 days before your arrival for a full refund. Would you like me to make this reservation for you?
This sounds wonderful. Yes, please make the reservation. I'd like to book the deluxe garden room for September 15th to 20th. How much do you need as a deposit and what payment methods do you accept?
Excellent. I'll need a deposit of 50%. That's $300 total for your 5 nights. We accept credit cards, bank transfers, or PayPal. I'll email you a confirmation with all the details. May I have your full name and email address, please?
Perfect. My name is Emily Johnson, and my email is emily.johnson@email.com. I'll pay the deposit by credit card today. Thank you so much for your help.
That was perfect, Emily. Did everyone catch those key phrases? I'm interested in making a reservation. Do you have availability? What's your cancellation policy? How much do you need as a deposit? These are essential phrases for hotel bookings.
And notice how I asked about amenities. Is there a swimming pool? Do you offer yoga classes? It's important to ask about the facilities that matter to you. Also, I always ask about cancellation policies because travel plans can change unexpectedly.
And Emily used going to for questions about planned trips. When are you going to travel? Assumes I've already decided to travel, just not when.
Here's your activity. Write in the comments. What are you going to book first for your dream trip? Your flight, your hotel, a special tour? We want to know.
And remember, if you're still deciding, you can say, I think I will book. But if you've made up your mind, it's I'm going to book. Now let's talk about the biggest booking challenge for most people, flights. Emily, I know you've been researching flights to Bali. What's your strategy for finding good deals?
Oh, I have a whole system. First, I'm going to use comparison websites like Kayak and Google Flights to check prices across different airlines. I'm also going to be flexible with my travel dates. Flying midweek is usually cheaper than weekends, and I'm going to book at least 3 months in advance for international flights.
Great strategy. Let me add some flight vocabulary here. Direct flight means no stops, faster but usually more expensive. Connecting flight or layover means you change planes, cheaper but takes longer. Round trip is there and back. One way is just going. And economy, business, and first class are the different service levels.
For my Bali trip, I'm going to book economy class, but I'll pay extra for seat selection. I want an aisle seat for the long flight. I'm also going to accept a layover in Singapore because it saves me almost $400 compared to direct flights. Sometimes those stops can actually be mini adventures.
Antarctica flights are completely different. I can't just book online like Emily. I have to book through specialized tour companies that organize expedition cruises. The flight is actually just the first part. I'll fly to Buenos Aires, then take another flight to Ushuaia, then board the expedition ship. It's a whole journey.
Now, let's talk about the most exciting part. Dream experiences and adventures. This is where travel becomes magical, where you create memories that last forever.
I can hear the excitement in Emily's voice. She's about to get emotional about travel experiences, isn't she?
You know me too well, Brian. Yes, I'm going to get emotional because this is what travel is really about. For my Bali trip, I'm going to do a sunrise yoga session overlooking the rice terraces. I can already picture myself there, feeling so peaceful and connected. Let me paint you a more detailed picture of my Bali experience, because I think visualization helps us practice descriptive English. I'm going to wake up at 5:30 a.m., yes, that early, and walk through the misty rice terraces as the sun starts to rise. The air will be cool and fresh, and I'll hear the sounds of nature waking up around me. Then I'm going to find the perfect spot, roll out my yoga mat, and do sun salutations as the sky changes from deep purple to pink to golden yellow. I'll practice mindful breathing while looking out over the emerald green terraces. And after yoga, I'm going to have a healthy breakfast of tropical fruit and Indonesian coffee.
Emily, your visualization is so vivid, I can almost smell the tropical flowers. Now let me share my Antarctica vision. I'm going to stand on the deck of the expedition ship, wearing about 7 layers of clothing, watching massive icebergs float by like frozen cathedrals. The silence will be so complete that I'll hear my own heartbeat. Then I'm going to take a Zodiac boat to land on the actual continent. Yes, you can walk on Antarctica. I'll crunch across the snow and ice, surrounded by curious penguins who have probably never seen a human before. And I'm going to take a moment to realize that I'm standing on the most remote continent on Earth.
Brian, I love how we're both using all our senses in these descriptions. I talked about seeing the sunrise, feeling the cool air, hearing nature sounds, and smelling flowers. You mentioned hearing silence, feeling the cold, and seeing icebergs. This is how you make travel stories come alive in English. Use all 5 senses.
Exactly. Sensory vocabulary makes your English more engaging. Instead of saying, the food was good, say, the spices filled my mouth with warmth. Or, the fresh bread smelled like heaven. Instead of, the place was beautiful, say, the turquoise water sparkled in the sunlight. Or, the ancient stones felt rough under my fingertips. That sounds lovely, Emily. My Antarctica adventure? I'm going to eat every type of emergency ration they have on the ship. It'll be like a survival food tasting menu.
Brian, only you would make Antarctica about food. But actually, that's what I love about dreams. They're so personal. Let's look at vocabulary. Adventure, an exciting, unusual experience. Hike, to walk long distances in nature.
Explore, to travel through and discover new places. Sightseeing, visiting famous or interesting places as a tourist. And journey, the experience of traveling, not just the destination.
Perfect. Now, here's where our grammar gets interesting. When you're traveling, you make lots of spontaneous decisions, like, I will try that street food if it looks good.
Exactly. Will is perfect for on-the-spot decisions during travel. I will take a taxi if it's raining. I will stay an extra day if I love this place.
But you also have planned experiences. I'm going to visit the temple at sunrise. You've already decided and maybe even booked a tour guide.
Here's a travel example. Emily says, I'm going to do yoga in Bali because she's researched yoga retreats, but she might also say I will try Indonesian food for spontaneous food discoveries.
Yes, and Brian, even though you're spontaneous, you still have some planned activities. You're going to take that ship to Antarctica. That's definitely planned.
True. I'm going to photograph penguins. I've been planning that for months. But I will probably also photograph random ice formations because, well, there's a lot of ice.
Let me paint a picture for our listeners. Imagine you're in your dream destination right now. You've planned some activities, but then you see something unexpected. A street festival, a beautiful sunset, a local celebration.
In that moment, you say, I will join this festival, or I will watch this sunset. It's spontaneous, in-the-moment decision-making.
That's the magic of travel, the balance between planning and spontaneity. Both use different grammar and both create incredible memories. You know what, Brian? We're talking about all these amazing dream experiences, but I want to address something real. Many people have travel dreams, but they also have travel fears. Fear of flying, fear of getting sick, fear of language barriers, fear of being alone in a foreign country. These fears can stop people from pursuing their dreams.
That's such an important topic, Emily. Fear is natural. Travel takes us out of our comfort zones. But here's the thing. Most travel fears are bigger in our imagination than in reality. What if I get lost? Well, you'll ask for directions and maybe discover something amazing. What if I can't communicate? You'll use gestures, translation apps, and basic English.
Let me share something personal. Before my first solo trip, I was terrified. I made lists of everything that could go wrong, but then I made another list. Everything that could go right. Meeting kind strangers, discovering hidden gems, proving to myself that I'm braver than I thought. The second list was much longer and much more exciting.
Here's my practical advice for nervous travelers. Start small. If you're scared of international travel, try a domestic trip first. If you're worried about language barriers, visit an English-speaking country. Build your confidence gradually. Every successful trip makes the next one less scary.
And prepare thoroughly. Download offline maps, learn basic phrases, research local customs, have important phone numbers saved. When you're prepared, you feel more confident. Also, travel insurance isn't just about money, it's about peace of mind. Knowing you're covered for emergencies helps you relax and enjoy your trip.
Great advice. Let's look at vocabulary for talking about fears and confidence. Nervous or anxious. Feeling worried about something. Confident. Feeling sure of yourself. Comfort zone. Your familiar, safe environment. Take a leap of faith. Do something brave despite uncertainty. Face your fears. Confront what scares you.
Speaking of preparation, let's talk about something that has revolutionized travel. Technology. Brian, the tools available to modern travelers are incredible. When I plan my Bali trip, I'm going to use so many apps and websites that didn't exist even 10 years ago.
Absolutely. Even for my remote Antarctica trip, technology will be crucial. GPS devices, weather apps, communication satellites. But for most travelers, smartphones have become the ultimate travel companion. Your phone can be your map, translator, camera, guidebook, and communication device all in one.
Let me break down my essential travel apps. For navigation, I'm going to download Google Maps and Maps.me for offline use. For language, Google Translate is amazing. You can even point your camera at signs and it translates them. For accommodation, I use Booking.com and Airbnb. For food, TripAdvisor and local food apps help me find the best restaurants.
And don't forget practical apps, currency converters for quick price calculations, weather apps for packing decisions, ride-sharing apps like Uber or local equivalents, and banking apps so you can monitor your spending. Plus, airlines have their own apps now for check-in and boarding passes.
Technology vocabulary is so useful for travelers. Download means to get an app or file onto your device. Offline means it works without internet, crucial for international travel. GPS is the satellite system that shows your location. QR code, those square black and white patterns you scan with your phone. Modern travel is full of these terms.
Emily, there's another aspect of modern travel that's becoming increasingly important: sustainable and responsible travel. More and more people are thinking about the environmental and social impact of their trips. How are you planning to be a responsible traveler in Bali?
Oh, this is so important to me. I'm going to stay in eco-friendly accommodations that use renewable energy and support local communities. I'm going to eat at family-owned restaurants instead of international chains. I'm going to buy souvenirs directly from local artisans, not from mass-produced souvenir shops. And I'm going to respect cultural sites and natural environments. I'm also going to minimize my plastic use by bringing a reusable water bottle in shopping bags. I'm going to participate in cultural activities respectfully, learning basic Indonesian phrases, dressing appropriately for temple visits, and following local customs. Tourism should benefit local communities, not harm them.
Antarctica is probably the ultimate example of responsible travel. There are strict international treaties protecting the continent. I'll have to follow leave no trace principles. Take nothing but photographs, leave nothing but footprints, no touching wildlife, no littering, no disturbing the environment. Every expedition ship has environmental officers to ensure compliance.
This introduces important vocabulary. Sustainable means environmentally and socially responsible. Eco-friendly means not harmful to the environment. Local communities are the people who live in the places we visit. Carbon footprint is the environmental impact of your travel. Ethical tourism means traveling in a way that respects people and places.
Here's our question. What's one activity you will definitely do on your dream trip? Notice I used will because I'm asking you to decide right now.
Perfect grammar awareness, Brian. Think about it, everyone. Spontaneous decisions use will. Planned activities use going to.
Now let's put everything together in our grammar and vocabulary workshop. This is where we make sure you really understand these concepts.
I love this part. Okay, everyone, let's recap the big difference. Going to is for plans you've already made, decisions you've already taken. Think of it as your travel prep work.
Will is for spontaneous decisions, promises, predictions, or things you're considering in the moment. It's more flexible, more in the moment.
Let's do some repeat after me practice. I'll say a sentence and you repeat it out loud. Ready? I'm going to visit Japan next year.
I will try sushi when I get there.
I'm going to book my flight this weekend.
I will probably stay an extra day if I love it there.
Excellent. Did you feel the difference? The going to sentences felt more definite, more planned. The will sentences felt more open, more spontaneous.
Before we finish our grammar workshop, let's practice with more challenging examples. Emily, let's create sentences that show the difference between will and going to in more complex travel situations.
Perfect. Here's a complex example. I'm going to take a cooking class in Bali because I've already researched schools and I'm passionate about Indonesian cuisine. But if I love it, I think I will extend my stay by a few days. Planned activity versus spontaneous decision based on future experience.
Excellent. Here's mine. I'm going to visit Antarctica in January because I've already booked the expedition. But I will probably get seasick on the way there because I always do on boats. And if the weather is good, I think I will spend extra time on deck taking photographs. Planned trip, predicted problem, conditional spontaneous decision.
Let's practice conditional travel sentences. If the weather is nice tomorrow, I will go hiking. If my flight gets canceled, I will book another one. If I don't like my hotel room, I will ask for a different one. These are all spontaneous decisions based on conditions that might happen.
And for predictions about travel, we use will. The flight will probably be delayed. It will be hot in Thailand in April. You will love Paris in springtime. The museum will be crowded on weekends. These are predictions based on knowledge or experience, not specific plans.
You know what, Brian? We've talked about all the practical aspects of travel, but let's discuss something equally important: cultural preparation. Learning about the culture and customs of your destination isn't just respectful, it can actually make your trip so much richer and more meaningful.
Absolutely. And it helps with language learning too. When you understand the cultural context, English communication becomes easier. For example, knowing that many cultures value politeness means you'll use more please and thank you phrases. Understanding local customs helps you know what questions are appropriate to ask.
For my Bali trip, I'm going to study Balinese Hindu culture before I go. I'm learning about temple etiquette, like wearing a sarong and sash when entering sacred spaces. I'm researching the meaning behind traditional dances and ceremonies. And I'm practicing basic Indonesian greetings like Selamat pagi for good morning and Terima kasih for thank you.
Learning even basic phrases in the local language shows respect and often leads to warmer interactions. Even if you mispronounce words, locals appreciate the effort. Plus, it builds your confidence for using English. If you can try speaking Indonesian, speaking English to help bridge communication gaps feels less intimidating.
Let me share essential English phrases that work almost everywhere in the world. Excuse me, do you speak English? Can you help me, please? Where's the bathroom? How much does this cost? Could you repeat that, please? I don't understand. These simple phrases can solve most travel situations.
And for emergencies, I need help. Where is the hospital? Please call the police. I lost my passport. My credit card isn't working. Can you call my hotel? Having these phrases ready gives you confidence to handle unexpected situations. Write them down or save them in your phone. Now let's recap our key vocabulary with examples. Book. I'm going to book a hotel room. Research. Emily will research the best restaurants in Bali.
Budget. We're going to set a budget of $2,000. Adventure. This trip will be such an amazing adventure.
Notice how naturally we use both going to and will, even in our examples. That's how fluent English speakers think.
Here's your challenge. In the comments, write one sentence with going to about a planned part of your dream trip, and one sentence with will about something spontaneous you might do.
For example, I'm going to visit the pyramids in Egypt, and I will try camel riding if I get the chance.
Perfect example, Brian. We can't wait to read your sentences. Practice makes perfect, and travel vocabulary is so useful in daily life.
And now for our closing. Emily, I know you have something meaningful to share.
Yes, and I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Everyone, listen to me carefully. A dream trip isn't just about where you're going to go. It's not just about the places you will see or the food you will taste. A dream trip is about the person you're going to become, the memories you're going to carry forever, the stories you will tell for the rest of your life, the moment when you realize that the world is bigger and more beautiful than you ever imagined.
And Emily, that's exactly why we learn languages. Travel teaches you English. It teaches you about different cultures. And yes, it might also teach you how to lose your luggage in 3 different countries.
Before we get to our final thoughts, I want to share something that I think is really important. We've spent this entire episode talking about dream trips, Bali, Antarctica, and all the amazing places our listeners want to visit. But here's what I've learned. The most important journey is often the inner journey that happens while you travel. When you're navigating a foreign airport trying to communicate in English with someone who speaks it as a second language like you do, figuring out public transportation, or simply ordering food from a menu you can barely understand, you're not just traveling. You're growing. You're becoming more confident, more adaptable, more open-minded.
Emily's absolutely right. And from a language learning perspective, travel forces you to use English in ways that no classroom or textbook can replicate. You have to think on your feet, communicate under pressure, use gestures and creativity when words fail you. These are the moments when language learning becomes real and practical.
Every mistake you make while traveling, getting on the wrong bus, mispronouncing a word, accidentally ordering something strange from a menu, these aren't failures. They're learning experiences. They become funny stories you'll tell for years. They prove to yourself that you can handle uncertainty and still find joy in the experience.
I once ordered what I thought was chicken in Thailand and got something that definitely wasn't chicken. But you know what? I learned to be more careful with menus. I practiced asking, "What is this?" in English, and I have a hilarious story to tell. Plus, it wasn't actually that bad once I stopped wondering what it was.
And here's something beautiful about travel. It connects us to people all over the world. When I meet someone from Indonesia in Bali, or when you meet someone from Argentina on your way to Antarctica, Brian, we're building bridges between cultures. English becomes the language that connects us across continents.
That's so true, Emily. I've met people from dozens of countries during my travels, and we've all communicated in English, even when none of us were native speakers. There's something special about sharing experiences with people from completely different backgrounds, but finding common ground through language and shared human experiences.
Brian, even when you're being funny, you're absolutely right. Every trip is a learning experience. You're going to meet people, you will face challenges, and you're going to discover things about yourself you never knew.
Whether you're a careful planner like Emily or spontaneous like me, your dream trip is waiting for you. The English you've learned today will help you book it, plan it, and talk about it.
Before we finish, please don't forget to like this episode if it helped you, share it with someone who dreams of traveling, and most importantly, write in the comments.
We read every single comment, and your engagement helps other English learners find our podcast.
So here's our final question, and I want you to really think about this. Where will your dream trip take you? Not just geographically, but emotionally, personally, spiritually.
Tell us in the comments. We're going to read every response, and who knows? Maybe your dream destination will inspire our next episode.
Until next time, keep dreaming, keep planning, and keep practicing your English. From Brian and Emily at English Podcast for Listening and Speaking, safe travels, everyone.
And remember, whether you use going to or will, your adventure starts now.
And one last thing before we say goodbye. I want to speak directly to anyone listening who thinks their dream trip is impossible. Maybe you think you can't afford it. Maybe you think your English isn't good enough. Maybe you think you're too scared or too old or too anything. Stop right there. Every single person who has ever traveled started with a dream and took one small step. You don't need perfect English. You need courage. You don't need unlimited money. You need creativity and planning. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be braver than your fears. Your dream trip is not a fantasy. It's a plan waiting to happen.
Emily's passion is contagious, isn't it? And she's absolutely right. Your dream trip doesn't have to be exotic or expensive. It could be as simple as visiting the next city over. The important thing is that you're using English. You're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're creating memories. Start small, dream big, and let your experiences build upon each other.
So from all of us here, from this crazy planning girl who's going to cry the first time she sees a Balinese sunrise, and from Brian who's going to freeze his way to personal enlightenment in Antarctica, we believe in your dreams. We believe in your ability to make them happen. And we believe in the incredible journey that learning English is taking you on.
Until our paths cross again, keep dreaming in English. Keep planning with purpose. And remember, every great journey begins with a single step. Thank you for spending this time with us, and may your adventures be everything you hope for and more. Safe travels, everyone.